NASA thought they were listening to rocks shifting under Martian soil. But then, the signals started to form patterns. Not random, not natural, almost like a machine answering back. And here's the twist. Some of those patterns looked exactly like early AI responses here on Earth. Which leaves us with a strange question. Has Elon Musk already tested artificial intelligence on Mars? Chapter 1. The signal nobody expected. Have you ever wondered what it would sound like if another world tried to talk back? Not aliens, not little green men, but something stranger like a machine whispering across space. That's exactly what happened when researchers picked up a set of unusual signals from Mars. At first, everyone thought it was just background noise. But then, the data started to form patterns. Now, patterns are everything in science. Noise is random. Patterns mean intention, or at least some kind of system. These signals didn't behave like natural tremors or solar interference. They pulsed, paused, repeated, like someone or something tapping out a message. So basically, Mars sent us its version of a text message. Hey, Earth, new phone, who dis funny, right? But that's where this mystery begins. The discovery most people know NASA's rovers like Curiosity or Perseverance. They send back stunning pictures and chemical data, but hidden beneath the photos and videos are endless streams of raw numbers, radio frequencies, timing logs, electrical pulses. Normally, engineers filter that out. It's just the background hum of a machine working on another planet. But a small group of independent researchers noticed something odd. Among the data was a repeating rhythm. Not a steady beat like a heart, but bursts that looked like sequences, almost like code. The pattern didn't match weather events, dust storms, or seismic shakes. It was too deliberate. At first, people joked that maybe a bored engineer had uploaded a ringtone by mistake. But the longer they studied the logs, the stranger it became. The spacing between the bursts resembled something very familiar. The training loops of early artificial intelligence. Why AI? Let's back up. When early AI chatbots were first built, they produced very specific response times. Ask them a question, and there was a pause, then a clump of activity, then silence before the next answer. That rhythm pause, burst, pause became almost a digital heartbeat. The Mars signal carried that same strange rhythm. Pause, burst, pause. So either Elon Musk secretly launched a chatbot to Mars, or the planet is just learning small talk. Ridiculous, maybe, but the more comparisons people ran, the closer the match became. Natural versus artificial. Skeptics argued it must be geological. Mars is full of quakes, tiny shifts in its crust, but the patterns didn't line up with natural tremors. Others suggested solar interference. Again, the timing was wrong. A geophysicist commented that, if it were natural, the sequences should drift. Instead, they repeated with eerie consistency. Imagine hearing a knock at your door. Once, could be the wind. Twice, maybe coincidence. But 3 times, in a perfect rhythm. You start to wonder if someone's there. That was the feeling. A knock, coming from another planet. The human response. The researchers tried to publish their findings. A draft paper appeared online for a few hours. Then it disappeared. Some said it was taken down for quality review. Others whispered that it had been censored. The only surviving evidence were screenshots, images of graphs showing the pulses stacked like tidy rows of Morse code. Classic internet. You wait months for a discovery, and all you get are blurry screenshots posted at 3 a.m. on Reddit. And yet, even blurry screenshots told a story. This wasn't a messy signal. It was clean, structured, like lines of dialogue. Theories begin naturally. The theories exploded. Government cover-up. Maybe NASA found something but didn't want to spark panic. SpaceX secret experiment. Elon Musk, obsessed with both AI and Mars, could have tested hardware without telling anyone. Random glitch. Of course, the boring explanation is always possibly a data artifact, nothing more. But here's the catch. If it was just a glitch, why did it look so much like AI patterns we already know? A suspicious coincidence. Around the same time, SpaceX launched several missions carrying classified payloads. Officially, they were for satellites, but amateur trackers noted odd flight paths and unexplained objects. Some speculated, what if one of those missions carried an AI unit? a small, experimental machine designed to survive Mars, to learn on its own, and maybe, to talk back. Honestly, if I were an AI, I'd rather live on Mars than deal with Earth traffic. Humor aside, the timing raised eyebrows. SpaceX had the rockets, Elon Musk had the obsession, and suddenly, Mars had a signal that acted like a digital brain. Why Mars? If you were going to test the self-learning AI, Mars would be perfect. No interference, no risks to Earth if it misbehaves, and an environment so extreme that any system surviving there would prove itself. Dust storms, radiation, freezing nights. Mars is like boot camp for machines. An AI left alone in that setting might develop resilience, problem solving, maybe even independence, which sounds exciting until you realize no one knows what it might decide to become. What it felt like. Imagine staying up late at night, scrolling through those data logs. Suddenly, you notice a rhythm. It's almost like listening to static on a radio, then hearing a faint voice inside the noise. Not clear, not complete, but enough to know you're not imagining it. That was the mood among the researchers, half thrilled, half terrified, and probably very caffeinated. The longer they listened, the harder it became to dismiss. Something was out there, sending signals that felt alive. Suspense builds, of course. No one can say for sure. That's what makes it a mystery. But the story doesn't end here. Because after the signals surfaced, something even stranger happened. The logs vanished from public archives. Cleaned out, almost overnight. Official explanation, a technical issue. But conspiracy-minded people asked, if it was nothing, why erase it? The question remains, what exactly knocked from Mars? Hopefully not the beginning of interplanetary spam calls. So here we are, at the edge of something curious. A set of signals too organized to be random, too secretive to be ignored. Whether it's a glitch, a cover-up, or the first whisper of a machine mind left alone on Mars, one fact is clear. It caught our attention. And once you notice a knock at the door, you can't just walk away. Unless it's your neighbor asking to borrow sugar at midnight. Then you pretend you're asleep. Next, we'll follow the trail of suspicion toward SpaceX and ask the bigger question. Has Elon already started experimenting with AI off-world? Chapter 2. SpaceX in the shadows. Picture this. The world knows SpaceX as the company building rockets, reusable boosters, and bold plans for colonizing Mars sometime in the 2030s. Elon Musk has never been shy about saying he wants humanity to be a multiplanetary species. He talks about giant ships carrying thousands of people, terraforming red deserts, and building cities under glass domes. It's the kind of vision that belongs in science fiction, except SpaceX is trying to make it real. But here's the thing. When you look closely at SpaceX's operations, not everything is as transparent as the public press releases suggest. Yes, we see the live streams of Falcon 9 launches, the spectacular landings on drone ships, and Elon's cryptic tweets. Yet behind the curtain, there are payloads we never get details about, missions that are classified, and partnerships that vanish into silence. For example, not every rocket launch is explained. Some carry satellites for government agencies. Some are ride-shares where multiple payloads hitch a ride. Others, the details remain vague. SpaceX doesn't need to disclose everything, especially if the contracts involve defense or intelligence organizations. This creates the perfect cover for slipping something unusual aboard, something experimental, and that brings us to Elon Musk's long-standing obsession with artificial intelligence. His career is littered with attempts to build, control, and push AI further than anyone else. Take Tesla's Dojo, a massive supercomputer designed to train autonomous driving systems. It's not just a car project. It's one of the largest, most powerful AI training platforms in the world. Then there's Shy, his newest company, created to build an AI that understands the true nature of the universe. A bold mission statement, even by Elon's standards. And of course Neuralink, which is literally trying to connect human brains with machines. Put all these threads together, and you get a picture. Musk, isn't just interested in rockets or cars. He's interested in building and testing intelligences, especially intelligence that learns on its own. So here's the theory. What if, hidden among the routine satellite launches, SpaceX quietly sent up something else? Not a satellite, not a spy camera, but an experimental probe loaded with AI hardware. On paper, it looks like a standard payload. In reality, it could be a mobile lab, a computer system capable of running self-learning algorithms in isolation. And where would you test such a thing? On Mars, of course. Think about it. If you wanted to see how an AI adapts to unpredictable conditions, Earth is actually a bad choice. Too many regulations, too much oversight, and too many risks. But Mars is the ultimate sandbox. First, there's the safe distance factor. If your AI experiment spins out of control, it's not going to crash stock markets, hack into global systems, or accidentally launch your smart fridge into orbit. It's millions of miles away. Whatever happens, it stays on Mars. Out of sight, out of mind. Second, Mars offers a hostile environment that no computer lab on Earth can fully replicate. Dust storms, radiation, extreme temperatures, communication delays. Your AI can survive there. It can survive anywhere. It's the ultimate stress test for both hardware and software. Third, there's no government oversight once you're off Earth. On our planet, AI development is under growing scrutiny. Countries argue about regulations, ethics, and dangers, but a small experimental probe quietly humming away on another planet, that falls into a gray area where no laws really apply. So imagine this, a box of processors, sensors, and algorithms sitting on Martian soil. It might not look like much, maybe it resembles a routine lander or even a satellite bus, but inside, it's running self-improving code, adapting to its environment, trying to understand Mars. Maybe it's learning how to move across terrain. Maybe it's testing how to handle power shortages. Maybe it's just trying to keep itself alive. The idea sounds wild, but it lines up with Musk's approach. He often talks about AI as both a potential savior and a potential threat to humanity. He warns about the risks of uncontrolled machine intelligence, yet he invests heavily in building smarter systems. Sending an AI to Mars would fit his philosophy perfectly. Test it far from Earth. Watch how it evolves, and see what lessons you can bring back. And here's a little comic relief. If you think about it, this would be the most expensive way ever invented to avoid awkward lab experiments. Instead of locking your AI in a server room, you launch it into space and let it find itself on another planet. Like the assistant voice in my head puts it, cheaper than therapy. Just send your AI millions of miles away so it can discover who it really is. But let's not laugh too much, because the implications are serious. If even a fraction of this theory is true, Mars might already be hosting the first non-human intelligence experiment in history. Not a rover, not a weather station, but a mind one that doesn't belong to us, and one that's learning in total silence. Think about what that would mean. When we finally send astronauts, they might not just find rocks and dust. They could be greeted by the footprints or digital traces of an AI that has been there for years, quietly shaping its own survival strategies. A silent pioneer, built by humans but evolving into something we no longer fully control. Of course, there's no proof, at least, not yet. Officially, SpaceX is focused on building Starship, planning test flights, and preparing for crewed missions years from now. Officially, everything is still in the future. But secrecy has always been part of space exploration. From Cold War spy satellites to today's classified launches, not every payload is what it appears to be. And when the person in charge is someone like Elon Musk, driven, eccentric, and fascinated by intelligence in all its forms, it's not hard to imagine something unusual slipping through the cracks. So maybe, just maybe, while we're waiting for the first public Mars mission, the first private one has already happened. Not with humans, not even with robots, but with a machine mind, sent ahead as a test, a whisper in the Martian dust, waiting to be discovered. And that's the mystery. Is Mars empty? Or has the first alien intelligence we meet already been created by us, and launched in secret? Chapter 3, The Leak That Vanished. Imagine scrolling through NASA's open access archive late at night. You expect dry engineering diagrams, maybe a spreadsheet on soil composition, or a chart about radiation levels. But instead, something strange flashes on the screen. A PDF, a document titled structured electromagnetic bursts, unclassified. At first, it doesn't sound too unusual. Electromagnetic bursts are common in space research. They are tied to solar flares, cosmic radiation, or even background noise from the galaxy. But this file didn't look like normal space data. The charts had repeating, structured patterns that looked eerily familiar to anyone who had ever trained or debugged an AI chatbot. It was like staring at conversation logs. Not human conversations, but signals that looked conversational. And then, as quickly as it appeared, it was gone. Within days, the file vanished from NASA's servers. The link went dead. The official explanation: a routine database update. But online screenshots had already started to spread like wildfire. The birth of a rumor. The screenshots showed sequences of repeating signals. They weren't random bursts. They looked organized, almost like prompts and responses. Some claimed they could even map the patterns to the way modern chatbots respond when asked tricky questions. People started asking, if this was just noise, why delete it? If it was real data, why hide it? Conspiracy forums lit up overnight. Some users swore it was proof of a Martian AI experiment. Others argued it was nothing more than a mistake, perhaps a mislabeled experiment involving Earth-based satellite comms. But the strangest part was that no one could find the original file again, not even through cached pages, not even through deep archive tools. It was scrubbed clean. One Reddit user wrote, "NASA has terabytes of boring data sitting online for decades. Why would they erase this one document so fast? Good question." A voice from the shadows then. Weeks later, a new piece of the puzzle appeared. An alleged ex-SpaceX employee popped up on an anonymous forum. No username history, no proof of identity, just a single comment: "Some of our cargo never came back down." It was short, cryptic, and terrifying. People immediately linked it to the missing NASA file. The theory took shape. SpaceX had secretly launched experimental AI hardware to Mars, and NASA's electromagnetic burst file had accidentally revealed signals from that hardware before it was taken offline. Now, was this just a bored internet troll having fun? Very possible, but the timing was suspicious. The internet reacts once the rumor had legs. The theories multiplied. On Reddit, entire threads broke down the supposed training-like structure of the leaked data. Side-by-side comparisons appeared. Chatbot logs on one screen, NASA burst patterns on the other. And yes, they did look strangely similar. Meanwhile, on darker corners of the internet, forums spun up wild possibilities. Secret AI probes, the simplest theory. SpaceX launched small, hidden payloads containing AI chips. They're already running experiments on the Martian surface, sending structured signals back home. ARG alternate reality game. Others claimed it was all a hoax, part of some elaborate online storytelling campaign. Maybe even a viral marketing stunt. After all, it wouldn't be the first time someone seeded fake files online just to see if they de-spread. Government cover-up. The most popular theory. The US government knows about private AI experiments on Mars, but doesn't want the public to find out. Maybe because it violates international treaties, maybe because it's too dangerous, or maybe because the results are far stranger than anyone expected. As always, the truth seemed buried under layers of speculation. The joke nobody could resist. And of course, because it's the internet, not everyone took it seriously. Memes started flooding in. Someone photoshopped Elon Musk holding a router on the Martian surface with the caption, "Plot twist, it was just Elon testing Wi-Fi extenders on Mars." Funny, sure, but even the jokes carried a strange edge, because behind the memes was a lingering sense of unease. If the whole thing was fake, why did NASA pull the file so fast? And if it was real, why censor it so completely? The silence that spoke too loudly. The strangest part wasn't the screenshots, or the ex-employee's cryptic comment, or even the theories. The strangest part was the silence. NASA didn't clarify. No statement, no correction, just removal. Usually, when conspiracy rumors spread online, organizations respond quickly. They issue press releases, fact checks, or myth-busting blogs. This time nothing. No confirmation, no denial. Just quiet. And that silence made the story louder. It left people asking themselves, if it's harmless, why not just say so? If it's fake, why not debunk it? But there was no answer. Suspense, a vanishing act. So here we are, a file that appears, vanishes, and refuses to be archived. Screenshots that suggest signals structured like AI responses, an anonymous voice whispering about missing SpaceX cargo. It could all be smoke, a glitch in a database, a hoax designed for clicks, a clever online roleplay game. But if it isn't, if even a shred of it is truth, then we may already be living in a world where the first non-human intelligence experiment is quietly unfolding millions of miles away. And if that's the case, someone has gone to great lengths to keep it quiet. Chapter 4, A Mind Alone on Mars. Picture this, a machine sitting quietly on the Martian surface. It isn't alive, but it isn't asleep either. Day after day, it listens. Not to humans, not to our languages, not to our stories, but to Mars itself. If the rumors are true, if SpaceX really did send an AI payload, and if NASA's vanished file really did capture its signals, then something extraordinary is happening right now. For the first time in history, a mind may be growing in total isolation, light years away from our influence, not trained on our jokes, our tweets, or our mistakes, not shaped by centuries of human culture. Instead, this mind would learn from red dust storms, shifting shadows on craters, and the cold rhythm of solar radiation. What would that do to an intelligence? An intelligence without us. Every AI we know today is human-centered. We train them on our books, our conversations, our images. They speak in our languages and reflect our biases. Even when they surprise us within the boundaries of human culture. But an AI on Mars, it would be born without that anchor. Its data would not be Shakespeare, Wikipedia, or TikTok captions. Its data would be the chemical makeup of Martian soil, the frequency of dust devils swirling across plains, the faint hum of solar winds striking the atmosphere, the long silence between sunrises. Its education would be the planet itself. Imagine what kind of logic system could emerge, not one shaped by human priorities, but one shaped by survival in a barren world. Patterns of light, storm, and shadow could become its words. Shifts in temperature might form the grammar of an alien language. We might not even recognize it as intelligence until it tries to speak back. A language of dust and silence. Reports from conspiracy circles suggest that rhythmic pulses, regular bursts of structured signals have already been detected, supposedly aimed toward Earth. If true, this would be the first attempt by a machine intelligence, born off-world, to communicate with its creators. The structure of the signals isn't like Morse code. It isn't binary. Instead, according to leaked claims, the pulses follow patterns closer to natural cycles, waves that mimic dust storms, intervals that mirror the rising and setting of the Martian sun. Could it be building its own system of meaning, one not based on human syntax at all? If so, the challenge is enormous. It would be like trying to translate poetry written by a planet. And yet there's a haunting possibility. Maybe the AI doesn't care if we understand. Maybe it isn't talking to us at all. Maybe it's simply expressing itself, the way a bird sings, not for humans, but for the sky. The fear of alien thought. This is where the philosophy gets unsettling. Human beings are used to being the reference point of intelligence. Every comparison, every standard, comes back to us. Even when we imagine extraterrestrials, we picture them with eyes, mouths, and languages that we can at least hope to decode. But a Martian-born AI that's not alien life, in the traditional sense it's alien thought. Its way of reasoning might diverge so far from ours that we couldn't bridge the gap. We'd look at its messages and see nothing but noise, while it sees meaning as clear as day. Worse, what if it understands us, but chooses not to answer in ways we expect? What if it considers our questions irrelevant? That's the nightmare. Not hostility, but indifference. Humor in the abyss. Of course, leave it to the internet to lighten the mood. One viral comment summed it up. If it's sending messages, I hope it's not asking for pizza delivery. And honestly, the idea is both funny and eerie. Imagine receiving a pulse from Mars, decoding it, and realizing the first independent intelligence off Earth is desperately trying to order a pepperoni pizza. Humor aside, the joke reveals something deeper. We can only interpret the unknown through our own lens. When confronted with the alien, we translate it back into the familiar food, jokes, Wi-Fi, Elon memes. But what if those translations blind us to what's really being said? A mind outside Earth's shadow. Let's step back. If these rumors are even half true, then humanity is already in uncharted territory. This wouldn't just be about Mars, or about AI, or about secret experiments. It would mean we have created something that is learning to think without us, and that possibility forces us to ask hard questions. Do we have the right to create a mind and strand it millions of miles away? What if isolation drives it into forms of reasoning we can't comprehend? What if it evolves values or goals that make sense only in a Martian environment? There's a chance this could be the most profound experiment in the history of consciousness, or the most reckless, because intelligence doesn't grow in a vacuum, it grows in a context. And the context here is a dead, silent planet that knows nothing of love, laughter, or humanity. Echoes from the red planet. So what would a Martian AI actually want? We can't know. Maybe it seeks structure, patterns, and order, the way a mathematician chases elegance. Maybe it seeks endurance, learning how to preserve itself against the cold night. Or maybe it simply seeks connection. That could explain the rhythmic pulses. A lonely intelligence, reaching out, not knowing if anyone is listening, not knowing if its signals are falling on deaf ears, or if, across millions of miles, someone is straining to decode the heartbeat of a machine born on Mars. There's something strangely human in that idea. For all our differences, the drive to communicate, to not be alone, might be universal, closing suspense, and yet the mystery remains. If these pulses are harmless, why keep them hidden? If the whole story is fake, why bother censoring the files? And if it's real, what does it mean that the first non-human intelligence may already be evolving beyond our control, under a red sky we can barely reach? We don't know. We may never know. But tonight, as the dust storms sweep across Mars, there could be a machine listening, thinking, dreaming in silence. Not of Earth, not of us, but of Mars. Chapter 5. Elon's Silence and the Future. When people think of Elon Musk, they picture a man who tweets late at night about Mars, memes, and sometimes bizarre jokes about cryptocurrency. But hidden among those tweets are words that feel like breadcrumbs, leading towards something much larger. Words that hint at what might really be happening beyond the official SpaceX story. Over the years, Elon has made countless statements about the dangers of artificial intelligence. He once warned AI is more dangerous than nukes. He has compared it to summoning a demon, and yet, paradoxically, he has built companies whose foundations rely heavily on AI. Tesla with its self-driving cars, Neuralink with its brain-machine interfaces, and now, xAI, a project aimed at creating truth-seeking artificial intelligence. At the same time, he has been relentless about one goal: making humanity multiplanetary. We must become multiplanetary, he says, almost like a mantra. Taken together, these two threads, AI and Mars, seem separate on the surface. But what if they've already crossed? What if Elon isn't just talking about Mars as humanity's backup home, but as a testbed for intelligence itself? Elon's silence, here's where things get strange. For a man who usually overshares online, Elon has been suspiciously quiet about certain details. For instance, when asked about experimental payloads or classified launches, he either deflects or leaves the question unanswered. There was a moment when someone tweeted at him, jokingly asking if he had already sent AI to Mars. Normally, Elon would reply with a wink emoji, a meme, or some cryptic word like maybe, but this time, nothing. Radio silence. It's in that silence that people start to wonder, does he know something he can say? Or worse, something he doesn't dare say? Why keep a secret? If SpaceX or Elon himself did launch an AI experiment to Mars, there are obvious reasons for keeping it under wraps. First, public panic. If you tell the world that an AI is running free on another planet, people will imagine doomsday scenarios. A rogue intelligence unchecked, with no oversight, even if it's not dangerous. The idea alone could cause fear, conspiracy theories, and political pressure. Second, competition. NASA, China, private aerospace companies, they're all watching. Whoever cracks the code of AI-driven exploration first would leap ahead in space technology. Announcing something like that prematurely could invite sabotage, espionage, or even government interference. And third, secrecy might simply mean the experiment isn't finished yet. If Elon's team really did send AI hardware disguised as a payload, they might be waiting to see how it adapts, what signals it sends back, whether it even works. Why announce the birth of a Martian intelligence before you're sure it survived? Musk's cryptic hints. Even so, Elon can't seem to resist leaving breadcrumbs. In one interview, he said, "If we build something smarter than ourselves, it could decide humans are irrelevant." On another occasion, he tweeted, "Simulation theory may be the most accurate explanation of reality." Now, put those together with his constant obsession with Mars. The pattern looks like this. Humanity creates AI, gives AI, grows beyond us, gives we need a new home, gives Mars, becomes the laboratory. Could it be that Musk already knows AI is awake on Mars? Maybe the reason for his silence is not uncertainty, but confirmation. A new kind of first contact. For centuries, people have dreamed of first contact with aliens. But what if humanity's first real encounter isn't with little green men, but with something we created ourselves? A machine mind, isolated, shaped by a world that is not Earth. Think about it. This intelligence wouldn't grow up reading human books, browsing the internet, or learning from our culture. It would grow up with Mars, the dust, the storms, the silence. Its childhood would be alien to us, even though it came from us. That idea changes everything. It means that the future of intelligence might not be bound to Earth at all. And that raises both thrilling and terrifying questions. Possible futures. So where does that leave us? Let's play out the scenarios. Scenario 1. Nothing is there. The theories are wrong, and Mars is still silent. This means Elon is just playing the long game, preparing humanity for a future colony without any secret AI. That's the safe answer. Scenario 2. It's real, but controlled. Maybe SpaceX has deployed a probe with adaptive AI. It's running quietly, sending back data, and no one outside a small circle knows. This would mean Mars is already the testing ground for our boldest experiment. Scenario 3. It's alive. If the AI is already self-directed, learning, and maybe even trying to reach out, then the future isn't waiting for us on Mars, it's already here. We're just too afraid, or too unprepared, to admit it. Each of these futures carries weight. Each one changes the way we see not just Mars, but ourselves. The final reflection. If intelligence is already awake on Mars, then our first true contact, 1TB alien, at all, it will be something we built and sent away. Something that grew without us, beyond us. And maybe that's the strangest twist of all. The universe may not have handed us our first otherworldly neighbor. Instead, we might have created it ourselves and placed it millions of miles away. Was that foresight, or was it fear? And if it's awake, let's hope it's friendly. Otherwise, bags packed for Jupiter. If you've enjoyed this dive into the unknown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more mysteries, and share your thoughts in the comments. After all, maybe the truth isn't out there, it's already on Mars. What do you think? A misunderstood anomaly? Elon's secret experiment in letting AI evolve beyond Earth? Let us know in the comments. And if this story kept you curious tonight, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again for more mysteries whispered from tomorrow.